Yes, today Ada is with us, and she is very expert in carbon reduction, in plastic reduction, carbon sequestering, urban sustainability solution. And we are very lucky
Yes.
we are having her with us, and we can ask uh, about all the things, how she thinks, what are the challenges, and I will request her to tell more about her work and how she sees these carbon and its alternatives. Please.
So yes, so I'm an independent ESG and also environmental systems consultant based in London. So I specialize in the intersection of microplastics mitigation, also water sanitation systems, which are two challenges that are far more connected than most people realize. But not only. So over the past 8 years, I have worked with international organizations such as the IMO, UNESCO, and also with Lebanon, and through them also with UNICEF. And I have also coordinated with over 760 stakeholders globally to tackle some of our most pressing environmental challenges. And I've been fortunate to secure over 180,000 pounds in funding for projects that deliver measurable environmental outcomes from marine protection initiatives across 40 and more countries to refugee water security programs in Lebanon. And what drives my work is actually this understanding that environmental problems don't exist in silos. When microplastics contaminate our water systems, they don't just harm marine life, they compromise the very infrastructure we depend on for clean water and also sanitation. And it's all interconnected, and that's where the most effective solution emerge. So, from my perspective, it was about the single biggest urban environmental challenge today, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the urban sustainability has becoming very critical and very vital nowadays. And we see many challenges. And one, I see the flash flooding, urban flooding, and one is the plastics.
Yes. Yes.
How you think
So,
we can combat this?
so it is actually that's a very good question. Um, for commenting, it's all about water management. So water is actually the most an ultimate environmental challenge because everything else falls apart about it.
Yeah.
You have the public health, you can't grow food, you can't power cities, everything is submerged. So for the public health, you have also for the flooding now, waterborne diseases that can affect you if it's not treated properly. You can have lots of droughts if it's also not caught in time. You certainly can't maintain also green spaces that helps us fight climate change. And so, as you just mentioned, some cities are flooding while others have severe
Yeah.
droughts, and
Yeah.
sometimes the same city is experiencing both in a single year. So then you also had the population growth on top of that. So by 2050, two-thirds of humanity is predicted to live in cities and into clean air. So um, when the thing is with all that, how to manage it is when you implement the infrastructures correctly, when you are maintaining the infrastructures correctly, then you can catch the water, implement water catch systems on the top of roofs, having, for
Yeah.
example, in deserts, water catching nets for you to have to mitigate actually droughts. If you're not building against nature, you're building with nature, and you
Yeah.
have the infrastructures that are there for you to be implemented, and also to, for example, you have also systems that allow you to transform deserts into newly forests. The Chinese have implemented that system, and they have also invented it, and it works like a charm. It's like some kind of clay that you're putting in the ground, and then you are planting actually the plants, and then everything is flourishing. And that's also plants are calling also water. They are calling rain. There are
Yeah.
some indigenous plants that are there for a reason. And if you are just cutting the trees down, you are not managing with the system, you are managing it against the system. So having that also in place. So having more green spaces than actually we have at the moment. At least 40% of the city needs to be green space. At
Yeah.
least, if not
Yeah, but yeah,
60%.
yeah, yeah. But
But
nowadays the
yes,
high-rise buildings are there, and now we are talking about the urban farming and urban forest
yes,
and
yes,
rooftop farming and green
yes,
buildings. So this
yes,
is the that we are a human is going back to restore its ecosystem and
yes,
water, and this is a combination of blue and green, is
yes.
and
Which is
making a
which is very important because everything is interconnected. You cannot build only a green system without also looking on the blue system. The blue, so oceans, etc., are very important for the environment. They're sequestering carbon emissions even more effectively than on land. We have also recently, it has come out that moss is very important. You know, the kind of plant, moss plant,
yeah,
very
yeah,
important for carbon sequestration. And it doesn't need much, just needs a little of rain to flourish and just a little surface and then it flourishes and it sequesters carbon at the same time. But for example, vertical gardens, it needs a lot of maintenance, first of all, but it also cools down the building. So not using the AC, you won't be able to use this, not be able, but you don't need to use the AC as much if you have those. And also if you catch rainwater, so having these, maintaining the systems. So, for example, I'm jumping a bit around, but if you go in the UK, we have still the old water systems, the old water pipelines, and we have a huge problem with water management, meaning that everything. So if there's some kind of flooding, everything goes into the Thames Sea. And the issue with that is that brown water also gets
yeah,
flooded into the Thames if there's too much water. And this stems from an over like a very old system, and that in this from the Victorian era, and it needs to be overhauled. So we need to implement new canalization systems that have the capacity of encompassing larger amounts of water, wastewater. We need to implement more treatment systems because
mhm,
lots of companies are still just throwing out their brown water untreated into the water, so into the rivers. We are drinking it. So it also gets into our body, it contaminates us. We have also the issue with agriculture systems over fertilizing the fields. Then the nitrate from the over fertilization gets into the water, into the
yeah,
rivers, instead of being treated, and instead of revisiting how we are using this kind of fertilizers
yes,
more punctually, and using just ecological fertilizers instead of this chemical fertilizers,
yeah,
in order to just mitigate the seas from dying out due to high salt intake or high nitrate in the water, because
yeah,
we are part of it. We are taking it back in, so
yes,
it's affecting us,
yeah.
and
And I have
ultimately we need. Yeah.
Yeah, I have recently observing in the last few months, especially that the human is changing from the linear economy to circular economy, and now they are
Yes.
following the circular model, the circularity, not
Yes.
only the macro level on the micro level, and now we are talking about water circularity. So this
Yes.
is the thing that it comes on the micro level with our household and then making the society as a water
Yes.
positive. And also this when we are talking about that which is not biodegradable. I was seeing the European legislation way how they are going because Europe is a precedence for us which developed in the planet and the less countries can follow up. And now we need the infrastructure to revamp or improve. And this thing that if we were on the linear model in the fertilizers, like you were saying, and the antibiotics or pharmaceuticals. So
Yes.
these are the two major contaminants which is
Yeah.
contaminated and destroy the immune system of our trees, plants, and animals, like human, they're
Yes.
affected. So this is the, if we follow, not adding the, but the persistent chemicals in our waters, in our surface waters,
Yes.
so some sublimation or evaporation come in our air. And also, if you please advise or can help the world, how, what can be the alternatives of carbon? The carbon human has exploited too much, but now I say it's a carbon and silicon balance. That the silica is the our solar panels, our replenishable energy, other glass bottles, and we can easily refractive materials like glass to recycle. If it's a broken, you can recycle,
Yes.
and it's not polluting
Yes.
our waters. So please, what do you think on carbon alternatives and how they can help the world? You see the future of this planet.
So, the carbon alternatives, so for sequestration, first of all, there are a lot of different materials that have been brought onto the markets, but they have been already existing before. It's just that now they have been revisited and rebranded as being new alternatives, whereas they were already there. So it's, as you said, having, for example, buying like glass bottles instead of plastic bottles, buying copper bottles also instead of plastic or glass bottles, because they have a better, they don't have microplastics in them. You need also to look for the lids, because sometimes the lids are emitting lots of microplastics or plastics in general. So that needs to be still looked into. But you have, for example, stuff made out of bamboo, made out of like trees or like woods, I mean. Also, other alternatives would be looking into sustainable material, not plastic, not made out of plastic, but real material that can degrade, and that are actually also so durable during the time. Shifting the model from fast fashion to sustainable fashion is one of those things that needs to be done. But also, you have also the fast fashion into buying things. Like instead of having the mindset of buying just for one season, buy it for almost a lifetime. Invest in that, because you will have, maybe it's more expensive at the moment, but in the long haul, it will be less expensive than buying actually the product again and again and again, and it will be also better for the environment and for yourself. So
Yeah.
if you have, for example, materials that where what I would say, that if you need to buy plastics, go first to the recycling system or recycling factory that you have. Ask them what can be recycled. You will see that only two so there are seven labels, but only two can be recycled. So there are numbers on there. And depending on what can be recycled at the recycling facility, buy accordingly. Most of the plastic bottles, if you need to take them, can only be recycled 2 to 3 times before they get before they need to
Yeah,
be replaced.
yeah, become the part that start damaging our ecosystem. So thank you very much,
Exactly.
Ada, and we shall be inviting you again when the researchers,
Yes.
which have the research in plastics and carbon sequestering
Yes.
and need to common their research, so I'll know. We'll invite you as an experts. So thank you very much again, and take
Thank
care,
you.
and
Yes, you
we'll meet
too.
again. Thank you very much. Bye bye.